The internet didn't just react, it erupted. Not gradually, not quietly, but all at once, like a controlled explosion that suddenly lost containment. The moment whispers began circulating that Damson Idris and Michael B. Jordan had finally spoken, really spoken, about Lori Harvey, everything changed. This wasn't a vague quote. Not a polished, PR-approved statement. Not the usual carefully crafted celebrity response designed to say something without actually saying anything. What surfaced felt different. Raw. Unfiltered. And according to insiders, deeply personal. For a long time, this entire story looked like something out of a modern fairy tale. Luxury trips. Private jets. Red carpets glowing under flashing lights. Soft smiles captured in perfectly timed photographs. Instagram posts that felt effortless, almost cinematic. To the outside world, it looked like love thriving at the highest level, untouchable, aspirational, flawless. But beneath that carefully curated image, something wasn't aligning. At first, it was subtle, easy to ignore. A slight disconnect in interviews. A pause that lingered just a second too long. A shift in tone that didn't quite match the narrative being presented. And now, those barely noticeable inconsistencies have turned into undeniable fractures. According to multiple sources, there were private conversations, late-night, emotionally charged exchanges that were never meant to leave the room. Moments where both Damson and Michael allegedly opened up about what really happened behind closed doors. And what's being described isn't pretty. This wasn't simple heartbreak. It wasn't just two relationships that ended naturally over time. The tension, insiders say, didn't just simmer, it escalated. Conversations that started calmly reportedly ended in emotional shutdowns. Voices raised, doors closed, words spoken that, once said, couldn't be taken back. But what makes this situation even more unsettling isn't just what was said, it's what may have been captured. Because now there are persistent whispers, growing louder by the hour, that at least one of those confrontations was recorded. Not casually, not accidentally, but clearly enough that voices can allegedly be recognized. Raw enough to make even the most loyal fans pause and question everything they thought they understood. And if that wasn't enough, there are also claims of messages, private texts, screenshots, fragments of conversations that, when pieced together, paint a picture far more complicated than the polished headlines ever suggested. Words that hint at frustration, confusion, even betrayal. According to one insider who claims to have seen some of these messages firsthand, both men weren't just dealing with breakups. They were trying to make sense of something bigger. A pattern they didn't fully recognize until it was already over. And now, that alleged pattern is being dissected in real time by millions of people online. Social media hasn't just reacted, it's spiraling. Fans are pulling up old interviews, analyzing body language frame by frame, revisiting timelines like investigators trying to solve a case that suddenly feels much larger than celebrity gossip. Because this no longer feels like a simple, who dated who story. It feels like something deeper, something more layered. And just when it seems like the narrative couldn't get more intense, another perspective enters the conversation. Another voice, another angle that shifts everything again. Because what Damson allegedly said in one of those private moments didn't just hint at drama. It suggested something far more calculated. And that's when everything changed. According to multiple insiders from different circles, there was a private conversation, one that was never supposed to leave the room, where Michael allegedly admitted something that stunned even those closest to him. "I didn't lose her. I just didn't realize I was part of a cycle." That single line spread across the internet like wildfire, because suddenly, this wasn't just about a breakup anymore. It was about a pattern, a system, something that felt larger than emotion, something that felt almost intentional. And then came the alleged response from Damson. You don't see it at first. You feel chosen, until you realize you're just next. That word next hit like a shockwave, because now people weren't just revisiting timelines. They were reconstructing them. Every public appearance, every post, every sudden disappearance. What once looked like coincidence started to feel like choreography. Then came the moment that escalated everything, a blurry, cropped screenshot. Unverified, but compelling enough to spread rapidly. A message allegedly sent from a contact labeled only as D. Bro, I thought it was real. But looking back, everything lined up too perfectly. No confirmación. No denial. Just enough ambiguity to fuel speculation. Within minutes, the internet fractured into sides. Some defended Lori, arguing that she was being unfairly criticized simply for dating high-profile men. Others weren't as forgiving. They began digging, resurfacing old interviews where she spoke about knowing her worth, about moving on without hesitation. Statements that once felt empowering were now being reinterpreted as clues. Then came the second wave, an alleged voice memo. Short, distorted, but chilling. A male voice, believed by many to be Michael, said. It felt real, until it didn't. And when it didn't, it ended fast. Too fast. Before the clip cut, a second voice, quieter, more controlled, reportedly added. That's how it always ends. That word, always, sent everything into overdrive. Because now the narrative wasn't about one relationship. It was about multiple experiences that seemed to follow the same rhythm. And just when people thought they understood what was happening, another twist emerged. An unverified report claimed there had been a private gathering. No cameras. No press. Just a small circle of insiders where both men were present. According to someone who claimed to be there, the atmosphere wasn't explosive. It was heavy. Emotional. Michael allegedly spoke about feeling blindsided, not by the breakup itself, but by how quickly everything moved afterward. How the shift from us to past felt almost pre-planned. And Damson? He reportedly didn't argue. He agreed. That silence spoke volumes. Because when two individuals known for their privacy are suddenly linked through shared experiences, people start asking bigger questions. And then, in the middle of all of this chaos, Harvey posted. No caption. Just a photo. Confident. Composed. Unbothered. And somehow, that silence made everything louder. Because in a moment like this, silence feels intentional. But the real shift came hours later. An alleged message surfaced claiming Michael was done staying quiet. That if things continued, he would tell everything. That word, everything, changed the temperature instantly. Because now this wasn't just about rumors. It was about what hadn't been said yet. What might still be hidden. And then it happened. A longer recording surfaced. Not edited. Not polished. Raw. This time, the voices were unmistakable. Michael's voice came first. I ignored the signs because I wanted it to be real. A pause. Then Damson. It felt real. That's the point. The weight of that exchange lingered. Then Michael again, sharper this time. But how does it switch like that? 1 minute it's everything. The next it's nothing. Damson responded without hesitation. It doesn't switch. It ends when it's supposed to. That line divided the internet completely. Because now this wasn't just pain, it was interpretation. And while the world argued, Lori remained silent. Until she didn't. A final recording surfaced, clear, controlled, deliberate. Her voice. Come. I've been watching all of this, every version of me people feel comfortable creating. Then the line that shifted everything. You're not hearing the full story because they're not telling you the parts that don't benefit them. She didn't deny the relationships. She didn't deny the endings. She reframed them. I never promised permanence. I showed up honestly. People just attached expectations. Suddenly, the narrative fractured again. Some called it accountability. Others called it deflection. Then she addressed the biggest accusation of all. Knowing when to leave isn't strategy. It's self-respect. That line spread instantly. And finally, I didn't break anyone. I just didn't stay where I no longer belonged. The internet exploded again, but differently this time. Not just speculation. Reaction. Then Michael responded. Calm. Measured. Truth isn't always shared evenly. And sometimes people experience the same situation completely differently. Not an attack. Not a defense. Just perspective. And then, finally, Damson broke his silence with a single sentence. Not everything needs to be explained to be understood. And just like that, the chaos settled into something else entirely. Not clarity, not resolution, but complexity. Because what remains now isn't a clean story with a clear villain or a perfect victim. It's three perspectives, three experiences, and millions of interpretations layered on top of them. What started as romance turned into speculation, then exposure, and now, something bigger, a reflection of how stories evolve in the age of social media. Because the truth doesn't just live in what's said, it lives in what people choose to believe. And the most unsettling part? This still might not be the end. There are still whispers of more recordings, more context, more pieces that could either calm everything or ignite it all over again. So if you think this story is over, you're already behind.